On this week's show, we're discussing Warner Brothers returning to Batman Arkham, Wonder Woman in reboot hell, Wonder Woman Woes, and a Resistance 4 that was pitched at Insomniacs but sadly got turned down. All that and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we get together and round up all of the week's video game news and stories for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV, and also available up there in the digital clouds on your podcast platform of choice. Just search for the GamerGuild Podcast or GamerGuildTV and you will find us there every Monday, 8 AM. We go live, bringing you all the latest news. Your podcast players for the week are myself, Chris at Arcane Rogue, and the man of many pixels, Mr. Richie, once again.
Hello, everyone.
Hello indeed, and we do have a great show lined up for you all. Before we get into all that, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you're kept in the loop with all the great content we do here on the channel, just like this very show, just like our weekly podcast, which is this very show, in fact,
yes,
and our weekly live streams every Thursday, sometimes Friday. We go live with a live stream with you, the wonderful community out there. This past week, we went back and checked out our continued adventure with Joel and Ellie and Dina and the gang in The Last of Us Part 2, building up to Series 2 of HBO's The Last of Us, and of course, our returning podcast show, The Clickercast, where we get together and break down every episode, characters, development, game adaptations, and much, much more. And Series 1 is available now for our wonderful members, and is available for you, the general public, as well. So go catch up, go check that out, and of course, like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Richie, as I said, we've got a great show, but before we get into all the juicy news of the week, because there is a couple of nice stories that thankfully just dropped before we recorded this on a Friday late evening. What have you been playing this last week?
So actually, while we actually got delayed recording this episode because you being a parent happens. Mm-hmm. So I was sat kind of waiting patiently and playing Metaphor, and I rolled credits while I was waiting for you. Literally, while I was waiting for you, sat here, I just rolled credits to Metaphor. The credits are rolling as we speak.
Because you can't skip them.
Yeah.
They're just in the background rolling away.
Yeah, I've got a capture card. Look, I just occasionally have a click over and have a look to see if I got that trophy.
To be fair, the credits are probably, like most games now, the credits are probably huge. A good 20 minutes long, going through every outsourced studio, every designer that was on the books. And it's a big game, Metaphor, so no surprise it to be a big long list of credits as well.
It is. It's an amazing game though. It's huge. It's really, really long, and I want to get the platinum.
Ooh.
I'm over 100 hours and I don't know exactly how, because I've talked before how my habit of, especially when I'm playing the Portal, I'll switch off the Portal, but that doesn't actually put my PlayStation in rest mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just too lazy to actually put the PlayStation in rest mode, then turn off the Portal. So I'm probably racking up the odd extra 20, 30 minutes here and there every single time I play.
Isn't there an option on your Portal to put the PlayStation into rest mode when
I don't know.
I'm sure when you swipe right on the screen and say disconnect, there's a little toggle that says put PlayStation in rest mode.
If you disconnect, you do, but I just press and hold the power button.
Oh.
So I just switch off the Portal. As I said, it's just pure laziness.
Oh, I mean,
I'm over 100 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know how far, and I only have a few trophies left after the one for finishing the game pops soon. Yeah. Probably during this podcast. There's a few other miscellaneous quests and one new game plus boss, and that's it.
Ooh. Oh, so there's not a whole other playthrough required, thankfully.
Yeah, one of them's craft all meals in the game, but I literally have all the ingredients for the last meal. Ooh. I just didn't. The last day I could actually do something, I got the last ingredients I needed, but I didn't have any more time to actually craft.
Right. I like a good
So that'll
be...
Yeah, so literally that'll be at the earliest point in the game where I can craft a meal, I can do it. That's one done.
There is satisfying when it's quite nice when you've got trophies, but the road to get them is quite clear. You know what you need to do. You've already, like I said, spent you've already done the hard work, right? It's just going back and completing it round and all up.
The class system in Metaphor they're called archetypes, where you kind of just change what class you're using.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the trophies is for the protagonist to master all the classes. I think I've got about 6 or 7 classes left to master, which isn't actually too bad. Because once you've mastered a class, anytime you get experience for like leveling up your classes, that's separate to your normal experience. You get an item which you can use to cash in on another one.
Right,
And so, because all my party are like maxed out in their main classes, I'm just getting tons of these items just by killing anything. So that's not actually that much. That shouldn't actually be that much of a grind. By the time I get to the point where I can actually do some of the miscellaneous quests I can do in the game, most of it will be checked off.
Good. So then I guess the big question is, what's next in the agenda? You're going to have that awkward moment where, do you have something lined up, or do we not know?
I do.
Ooh.
It's Indiana Jones. I've been wanting to play Indiana Jones, but I wanted to finish Metaphor first because I have put down Metaphor a couple of times to move on to something else because it's that big, long-winded game, which is why I've been playing it for about 2.5 months.
Yeah.
But because I'm so late in the game, I decided, no, I'm going to finish Metaphor, get my platinum, and then smooth. I was at one point thinking I'll finish Metaphor, I'll roll credits, play Indiana Jones, because I'm playing on Xbox. I don't really care about achievements on Xbox.
Yeah.
So I'll just be playing through it as a nice palate cleanser game. Just play through the story at my leisure, not worrying about popping achievements or anything. And then go back to the New Game Plus for the platinum. Because there isn't that much left, I might as well see it over the line now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you've dedicated the man time, so why not go back?
Yeah.
Any temptation to hold off on Indiana Jones for the Platinum Trophy? It's due in spring. That's just a couple of weeks away now.
No.
Okay.
To be honest, cause it's one of them. Because I own the game, I don't want to go out and buy the game on another platform.
Yeah, I know that.
Just for the sake of trophies.
Yeah.
So if it came one day in the future, if it dropped and it was like 15 quid on a sale or something, I might consider it. 20 quid.
I
might consider it at that point. Yeah.
It's different for you as well because you're now, obviously, the longer you take to play it, the closer you are getting to the PlayStation launch, whereas I've had a nice sizable gap now between finishing the story and when it maybe comes out in maybe March, April.
Yeah.
There is a rumour of a PlayStation Plus next week, which we don't actually have in our news doc because it's not official. But we might actually see some dates on some of these Xbox things, potentially Forza Horizon, potentially Indiana Jones. At some point, they're going to have to talk about what these spring releases are, in and amongst, obviously, all the Xbox releases we do have, because we've got some coming later this month, also in the news. But I'm looking forward. Is this one that you're playing with the girlfriend as well? Are you doing it together? Would it have been so story-rich, or is this just you?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about that, actually.
Because I played it with my wife. We went through it because she's a huge Indiana Jones fan, so it was like my logical decision. We
tend to play a lot together. Well, she'll be playing something at the moment. She's playing Dragon Quest XI, and then I've been playing Persona Metaphor next to it on the Portal for the Xbox because I don't have a Portal for Xbox.
Yep.
Xbox, get on that.
Not yet.
So what we're probably going to do is I'm probably going to play on the TV because I actually have a 4K Fire Stick, which I've literally not played a single game on.
I've just ordered one of them.
Yeah, so I'm going to probably use that, and I'm going to play on the TV, and she's probably going to switch over to the Portal.
Interesting.
Do the old switcheroo.
The old switcheroo.
When we're together, and when, like, as I've been doing tonight, because she's out with your wife, actually, I've been playing PlayStation in my office. Where my PlayStation is, yeah. Which is where if she went away, I'd probably just play directly on my Series S.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know with you saying you're waiting to finish off one game before starting the next one. I think our audience are probably similar. Let us know in the comments below, listeners, viewers out there. Do you find as you're getting a little bit older, you prioritize one game at a time? Do you only have the dedication to one, or are you still in your teenage years where you maybe jump from between 1 to 2 to 3 games at a time on rotation? Because I certainly feel like I'm getting to a point where I can only really commit to one at a time. And I don't know if that's because I'm usually going for like a platinum trophy, so I don't want to differentiate like my, I guess, attention, my focus, or I zip and zop out of casual games. I haven't played FIFA in a couple of weeks now, much to I'm sure our audience is like relief. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I have largely, to be honest, always been a one-game guy. Occasionally I'll have something casual like FIFA on the side or Football Manager where I can just dip in, play for an hour here or there, not touch it for 3 weeks, and just continue back exactly where I left off. Because there's no real narrative. You don't have to worry about that. You don't really even have to remember about memorizing the controls and what you're doing. Like you can just jump straight back in.
Yeah.
especially if you're playing like a big RPG like Metaphor, sometimes it is nice to switch over. Like I played Astrobot and Lego Horizon, got the platinum in both of them after I already started Metaphor.
Yeah, in between.
Yeah.
Oh well, do let us know in the comments below. I'm purely focused at the moment on Sly Cooper 2. Obviously, I finished Staff of Kings last week, which was a nice short one, but went back to Sly Cooper, and it's a surprisingly big game in terms of like the little open world. It's good in a way because it's episodic, so it's very much like Sly Cooper and the gang in, and they make it out like it's a 1950s novella almost. And the missions are really well broken up in between. You've got like your stealth missions in the little mini open world map with Sly. You've got the kind of techie missions with your good friend Bentley, who's the tail. He's like the tech guy on the team. And you've got some kind of beat 'em up brawler ones with the hippo on the team, who's Murray, or the Murray, as he refers to himself. And you kind of have this quirky, the Murray, and you kind of have this quirky gang basically solving a puzzle, and every element of the different characters feeds towards the narrative. So one will hack the codes to get into the vault, one will deal with the guards on the outside, and one will be the muscle to maybe clear some of the sentry guns or something. And it's quite a well-structured game for a title that's maybe 20+ year old now. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm just chipping away. It is very much like got that like kind of Ubisoft collectathon vibe to it, where there's 30 bottles in each level, and every time you get the bottles, they give you the code for the safe, which is a trophy per level, and finish each level as another trophy. So it's quite methodical. I'm up to like episode 5 of 8 now, so I'll probably have the platinum by next week, which will be my 150th. But these kind of old PlayStation classics, going back to them via PlayStation Plus with the new edition of trophies and upres graphics and the rewind feature. I cannot attest to how good the rewind feature is when you're doing this. There's a good cut. Many a times I've fell off a ledge or missed a jump because it has got quite a bit of
way back up.
And it would be like, oh my word, like back in the day that would have been like, right, climb up this pipe, jump over there, hand glide over to there, find the starting location in these maps is hard. Whereas this time I'm just like, pause, go back 5 seconds, try again. Pause, go back 5 seconds, try again. And that would have been an hour's worth of pain in my ass resolved by an amazing rewind feature. So credit to PlayStation, the work they're doing on those remasters.
Just with older games, I think one of the nicer things is, I don't know if you're finding this now, when as you're getting older and you're more responsibilities, you have less and less time. Some of the older games were a bit more, bear in mind I've just played Metaphor, time friendly, almost.
Get to it.
Some games feel like they're big for the sake of big. I don't think Metaphor is one of them things, because that game just tells the story it wants to tell, and it just takes a long time to do it.
Yeah,
like watching the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, where some games I feel like just big for the sake of being big.
Big, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Loved it, but that did feel like it was big for the sake of it. And I mean, my girlfriend been moaning about the trophy list sometimes, when you get like a massive game that's literally probably about 100 hours to roll credits, and then they go, so now we're going to put a difficulty trophy in, so you have to play the whole game again on this ridiculous difficulty mode. And it's like, I've already invested 100 hours of my life into this. I don't know if I can be asked.
Yeah, it's one of them where you just kind of have to take a deep breath, isn't it? And you go, do I have the patience, the determination to even do this again? And I think that's why I'm getting a bit more selective over what I play. Like I know trophies are one element of it, but when you're 150 deep in, it's kind of part of my lifestyle now. I do look at the trophy list first and go like, is it obtainable? What's the recommended time to beat? And anything that's around about the 15-hour mark is like the sweet spot now.
See, I play the games I want to play, and then I will occasionally, usually about halfway through the story or something, I'll look at the trophy list, see how I'm doing. Do I want to go for it?
Oh,
and
absolutely.
To be honest, I usually make the decision late game if I'm actually going to go for it.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't deter me from what I want to play. Like again, I know I'm going to play Assassin's Creed Shadows and Metal Gear Solid Delta and stuff later this year, and I know they're going to be like 80-hour games. So I need to find. I'm probably going to lose a lot of sleep in the coming months. I'm going to separate sleep out for game time.
I can't do that anymore. I need my sleep.
I mean, yeah, we'll get to that. But tell you one thing we can't cut out, Richie, and that is the news. But we can't get into that until you introduce us to the
graciously gathered GamerGuild Gazette, aka The news.
The news. And of course, the news is brought to you by our wonderful guild heroes, the fantastic folks out there, just like you at home, who support us that extra little bit further. From as little as 99p, you become a member of the channel, you get stickers and badges next to your name, and the wonderful live chat while we do our live streams. And more importantly, support a small, independent YouTube channel that's ticked past the 2,000 mark into bringing you better quality content every single week. We do put this episode up live over the weekend. If we record on a Friday, you tend to get it Saturday morning. If we do on a Saturday, you tend to get it Sunday. And we do, I think, a good job at getting it out early for our members. So hopefully you do appreciate that, all 50 plus of you out there who support us.
Last week was a bit difficult. I think I was edited on Sunday morning, but couldn't do the upload till we got back from Leeds.
Yeah, we went to a games market, didn't we? Where you rejected the chance to buy a backwards compatible PlayStation 3.
I did.
Well, where's the regret level on that a week on?
I honestly haven't thought about it.
Oh, good.
I made my decision while I was there and moved on.
Oh, if I was him, I would have bought it. But yeah, it was fun. It wasn't as big as I thought, but surprisingly, when we got into it, did take a little while to rummage around kind of every store, look at some Japanese things, a few surprises, like a Super Famicom version of Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie True Lies went for £300.
Yeah, that vendor though, there was some weird stuff. There was just like the Donkey Kong for the SNES was like 150.
Yeah, definite some odd.
It was the PAL version. It's like it seemed a bit weird. Some of the pricings there.
But yeah, I picked up pretty much every Dynasty Warriors game known to man. A couple of others.
You had me and Tom hunting for them.
Yeah, well, I was the only one spending money, so it had to happen. But we'll no doubt talk about that in the coming months as well, when we get into the games we've been buying as well as playing. But we do have some news, Richie, so let's dive into it. Story number 1 of the week just dropped. There's an article out from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg. It's behind a paywall, so we don't have all the details of it. But essentially, Warner Brothers Games, after the epic collapse and failure of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and obviously Multiversus and Gotham Knights, which we've covered on the channel. I think it was in the news about a fortnight ago as well. We've got a bit more detail because of Jason Schreier's digging around. We'll start with just Rocksteady in general. They are back on the Batman train with another single-player Batman Arkham game. The report comes from Bloomberg, as I mentioned, and explains that Warner Brothers Game Studios are back to the Batman Arkham franchise, and it's going to do a single-player game. Rocksteady is looking to return to an area that people are familiar with the same timeline, but a new project is years away from landing. Rocksteady Studios, of course, last game Suicide Squad was a commercial and critical failure, cost some WB over $200 million in losses, and it was reported last September that numerous Rockstar employees had been made redundant over the previous months, including the Q&A department and more than half its staff. Of course, we could have told them this 5 years ago, right, Richie?
Yes, we could have saved you $200 million.
But it's I guess it's what you've got to do, right? Like, they could start anew and do a new IP. They could try and make a single-player Superman game or otherwise. But realistically, I think they're in that dire straits. You go back to your safety net, right? Which is the Arkham single-player games. It is.
I'm not sure it's as safe a net as people might think, because everyone remembers Arkham Asylum being this absolutely incredible video game. It's old now. I watched my girlfriend play it, and it's still good, but you can't just. I don't think you can just slap that formula into a new game and get away with it. I think that it's a game that needs elevating again. Where Arkham Asylum elevated that the kind of action, like third-person action game, you need to do that again.
Yeah.
Because right now it feels a bit dated.
Yeah,
I don't mean to take anything away from the game, because it's a product of its time and it was amazing when it came out. My worry is, do WB realise that it basically needs the God of War treatment? Yeah. It needs the Breath of the Wild treatment. Take what was amazing about it and find a new way to work that. And this is probably why things like Suicide Squad and Arkham Knight kind of didn't do great, because the gameplay is basically has its roots back in Arkham Asylum, and nowadays that just isn't good enough.
Yeah, not at all.
So I think they are right to go back, but they need to make sure they are reaching for something special again.
Yeah, it's just that kind of sunken cost fallacy as well, isn't it? Because we know the article does go a little bit more in depth around the struggles they've had, leadership change. We know that the two of them left and they founded their own company in partnership with EA. So actually, a lot of the team that was there originally on the original trilogy probably isn't anymore. And this is basically a shell of its former self. It's almost like a BioWare situation where the team's evolved and changed, and then the higher ups have forced them into a games as a service type model. Everyone who signed on and probably flocked to Rocksteady, as with BioWare, to make these great single player story games, has got there and went, this isn't the game development I wanted to get into, I signed up for. They've all branched out, the higher ups have left, and now they're trying to pivot back to what made them famous in the first place. But you do wonder, like, is the talent still there? And again, not now, because you've got another, 4 or 5 years of pre-production and development before this actually ships. And like you said, if it was a product of its time, what's it going to be like a product of its time another 5 years detached? It's
I mean, again,
worrying.
they're very playable. But if you play that compared to, say, like God of War Ragnarok, the one is clearly a better game.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is where, and Hogwarts Legacy, as much as I loved it, wasn't really pushing the ball out much in this genre.
Yeah.
What made that game special was things like running around Hogwarts, getting immersed in that world, which they can do. They can do with Batman, but they need to bring. I think they need to get the gameplay chops working. That's, I think, the first thing they should be focusing on.
Yeah.
While they're writing the narrative, getting it to feel like how you felt Batman Arkham Asylum played when you first put hands on it. How many? 15 years ago?
Yeah.
However long it was. It's that perception of how it was. You need that again. But if you keep the same kind of mechanics, it won't be there.
Yeah, well, speaking of keeping the same mechanics, though, obviously WB are banking on a successful sequel to Hogwarts Legacy as well, which was it really is the one saving grace that's balanced WB's books over the last couple of years, because it was just a resounding success. The difficulty then is, how do they replicate that with a sequel? Because now we've seen the castle, we've seen the grounds, we've seen Hogwarts. Like, I would 100% say, right, get a Diagon Alley in there, get the Ministry of Magic in there as like new locations. But will it turn the same profit? Will it be as popular, or will it just be like, oh, it's just more of the same with a couple more areas? It might as well be DLC, is what I'm saying. Like,
you need a good story. Do you go for a different character? Because there's a lot. There's a lot you could do, because, like, okay, we've told a story of one character in Hogwarts Legacy, pretty much spread over the course of a single school year.
True.
You could pick a different school year, which I think it was quite wise to actually have you as a slightly older student joining for the first time. That's quite a good way, because you're not just a novice with spells; you already have some history with them. So when you came in, it wasn't like Wingardium Leviosa. That's all you can learn, like, because you're in year one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I think it was quite smart the way they handled that entry. But you could do a different time period entirely as well. There's so much they could do with Hogwarts Legacy.
I mean, there's like 100 years between that and the Harry Potter stories, right? That was so good about it. It was so far set back. Yeah.
Could do a medieval version.
Yeah.
All around, like, maybe you do tell the story of the founding of Hogwarts from one of the first students who joined.
Yeah. Get the four.
So you still have the likes of Gryffindor and Slytherin walking the halls.
Yeah, like founding the school. And we're not far off. Well, I really thoroughly enjoyed Hogwarts Legacy, so I'm definitely there day one for more. But
me too.
Whether it'll make the same numbers, that's left to be attested. Further in the article, it goes on to say that the studios also looked at doing things such as a Flash game, and apparently the epic failure of the Flash movie set that one back. And basically got that knocked on the head. Exactly. But then it's, again, this is where DC movies that have been having struggles, obviously owned by Warner Brothers, it's the IP is like, is it as resounding as it once was? Turning our attention.
A Flash game could work, but again, they're turning it down based on the strength of the IP in a movie. Focus on what Flash game would play like.
Yeah.
That's why we sell it.
I want slow-mo. Like a slow-mo button like you get with Max Payne or Enter the Matrix.
R2 slow-mo.
Yeah, give me it. Like, it could be done. I mean, they did it in Astrobot.
Yeah.
The little slow-mo clock time.
You're thinking like Quicksilver from the X-Men, X-Men films, aren't you?
But yeah, so obviously a Flash game was apparently in development, and then that got knocked on the head. Apparently at some point they did have a Constantine game in development, which is, it's one of them lesser known characters where, as a grounded, almost like a Max Payne-esque game, Remedy kind of would get someone like Remedy on it as well to make like a really eerie world where you're jumping and dealing with like demons and such. Could be really cool. Do a bit of investigation work, kill some demons, kind of link in with maybe some other DC characters. And it being such a lesser known character, it could make a really interesting game. It's like you could almost like own that character, because he's not going to have a movie anytime soon. I know Keanu Reeves has spoke about doing a sequel, but he's not going to have a TV series. He's been a character in one or two things, like I think Legends of Tomorrow and stuff, and he appeared in Arrow once or twice. But I feel like giving him his own world in the game could have been cool. Personally, I've always been a fan since the Arrow TV show that you should just make an Arkham-style game in Star City, or Starling City, with the Green Arrow, have his cast of characters, have his cast of villains, maybe even bring some Batman ones in as a cool reference point, make it dark and gritty, but give it the mechanics of like a Tomb Raider game, where arrows and like arrows with little gadgets attached to them are the cool mechanic, and so just
you're
tell
going
the story.
For the kind of pseudo stealth action like the Arkham series is.
Yeah.
But instead of using batarangs, you're using arrows. And
and he's got a supporting cast of characters. You can have flashbacks to the island he's on where he fights Deathstroke and stuff. Like, the kind of story threads are there. But no, instead they're going to pivot and do other things. Apparently they also had a new IP in the works that had new characters that wasn't tied to WB. But apparently the Warner Brothers higher-ups didn't like the thought of going ahead financing a game without recognisable characters. And that's where they got to a Wonder Woman game. So we know Monolith, apparently they let them make this new IP or pre-produce this IP for 3 years before deciding they wanted a recognisable character attached, which then led them to the Wonder Woman game, which was teased, Richie, 3 years ago now. 3 years ago we got this little teaser with just a couple of flashes of her hair.
It feels like it should be out now.
It should be imminent. It should be back end of this year or early next year at least. And of course, the reason this one stings for me is because Monolith made the fantastic Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor games with the Nemesis system that we've not seen since. And it baffles me that they were down tools on a third entry in that series, fumble around for a few years doing a new IP, for that to be canned, for them to commit to a Wonder Woman game, for then nothing to materialise out of it. And the reason I'm saying that is because the article claims that after the successful Lord of the Rings titles, this was announced in 2021. The report says one of the company's biggest bets in development was the Wonder Woman game. It struggled to coalesce, and according to people familiar with the project, early last year it was rebooted and they switched directors internally. The game has already cost more than $100 million, and it's still years away from release if it ever makes it to market, and that's from people on the inside who refuse to be identified for NDA reasons. I don't think we see this game. I think it gets canned.
Vaporware. This could be WB's, what do you call it? Ubisoft one. Oh God,
Beyond Good and Evil?
Beyond Good and Evil too. It is a shame. I think with Monolith, Shadow of War didn't do anywhere near as well as Shadow of Mordor. Mm-hmm. But I think that's largely because of it got very much mixed up in the loot box controversy.
That was the higher-ups, wasn't it? Again, getting in the way of devs. You made a great single-player game. Give us more. We give you more. But, let's get loot boxes in there.
But this is the problem with spreadsheet managers. They only got the head in the spreadsheet and go, first game did this up here. Second game dropped significantly in revenue. People aren't interested. They're not looking and go, actually, the reason people were interested, they were angry that you put some bullshit mechanics that everyone hated. There was a lot of people, it was in government, like potentially legislating as this is gambling. It was quite a huge thing back at the time. Mm-hmm. That's why people didn't buy that game. So maybe if you announced the third entry and went hard on, there's no bullshit microtransactions in this. This is like they did with Hogwarts Legacy. This shows that, if you have a good IP, you use it well, and you don't put bullshit in there, people will buy your game.
Yeah. It's just such a shame. There's so much more of Middle-earth that I would have had them explore.
apparently Monolith then start working on a game, like their own vision for a game right from the ground up, and now they have to slap a Wonder Woman title on it, and then it hits development hell.
Yeah,
might not be because of the Wonder Woman title, but that's where it seems to be at the moment.
Yeah, all over the place. Like, I would imagine the new IP as well would have utilized the Nemesis system. So there could be a chance we would have got a brand new game franchise with the Nemesis system front and center. And that could have been enough to kind of give it a bit of extra oomph in the market that's like so saturated. But yeah, as a Lord of the Rings franchise, I'm just gutted that we didn't get a third entry to not necessarily carry on Talion's story with Celebrimbor, but just see more of that open world. Like, that's what was so good about Hogwarts Legacy. They made it fully realized. Imagine if the third entry allowed us to explore Middle-earth freely with that Peter Jackson skin over it, licensed.
Or just Gondor?
Yeah, just one full area.
One country within it, because then you could just do, basically kind of take the Skyrim approach where we are going to focus on one area, Tamriel. That is where the entire story is. But because of that, we have license to just fully realize this massive country.
Yeah.
To more detail than that has ever been done in any media ever. They could do that with Lord of the Rings.
But alas.
Hell, you could go crazy. You could set it off in Dale and near the Lonely Mountain. Post Smaug.
Yeah. You did get to fight dragons and Balrogs in the second one, which was pretty fun. But but either way, while we wait for that, we also found out from this news as well at WB, they obviously have WB Montreal, who are the studio who did the Gotham Knights game. They're currently helping with the Hogwarts sequel and dipping in and out of other things with the studios too. Montreal are kind of, again, stuck in that other one. Apparently they're working on a pitch for a Game of Thrones based game, which again, this is another thing, like, I can't comprehend why we haven't had more. It probably has, which is a shame, because again, 10 years ago, if you would have been ripe for the picking, and no one seemed to make games out of it. It still baffles me to this day. We do not have an RTS game in the style of Command & Conquer, Battle for Middle-earth, Empire at War, that just plays with a Game of Thrones skin. Like, I can't. It's there right for the picking. People would lap it up.
Or like a gritty fantasy RPG.
Yeah.
You could set, it doesn't even have to be in the Game of Thrones era. It could be in a different era. You could set in High Valyria if you wanted to. There's so much you could do with that IP in video games. Yeah. And it feels underutilized, but almost feels like the high point of that franchise has already passed.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Doesn't mean it can't come back, but...
And George R. R. Martin literally went and made a game with was it Miyazaki?
Miyazaki,
who did Elden Ring, and it's like, you've got your own thing here. You could have just went and supported with a Game of Thrones video game.
It is possible George R. R. Martin is very protective over the IP and won't let other people work on it without his direct oversight.
Yeah, we got the Telltale game, but I think either way, in a nutshell, it's just a damning report of probably what we already knew about WWE games, and I could see a future where they do sell up and they go the other way and just say,
keep trying to sell. Keep trying to shut down the gaming division, don't they?
We're going to license our game out, but alas.
It might be a smarter move, like, to just become a publisher rather than a developer.
Yeah, like Marvel kind of did the same thing, didn't they, when they took the licensing back when EA Star Wars one ended, and then they just kind of picked and chose where they go with this. But one of them things, Richie, one of them things. Moving on, though, again, away from WB to our second star of the week. I just dropped this one on the last minute because while I was prepping for the show, kind of funny putting an interview out with Ted Price, who's just recently or imminently about to leave Insomniac. We covered it on last week's show. He's about to leave. Reason being is I was listening to it and I knew I wanted to just squeeze it in there. It's just one of them like casual interviews of like what you're going to be like when you retire, what you're going to do with your game time, any kind of inside scoops. And just reading direct from the quotes from the podcast. Again, this only went live about 2 hours ago before I went recording, so there's not like deep articles on it. But he did share, he brought it up as well, Ted Price, saying, we did pitch Resistance 4. It was a wonderful concept, and just in terms of timing and market opportunity, it didn't work out. But it was a result of a lot of the Insomniac team members being passionate about and extending the story further, because I do believe that the Resistance has been set up for a really cool alternate history base where anything can happen with the Chimera, the bad guys, and where they go and what their origins are. He then went on to say, spend some time on backstory, brainstorm where the series could go next. And then I quote, personally, I love this franchise. I was fortunate enough to be the creative director on the first 2 Resistance games, and I'll remember them for many moments, both good and bad. When it comes to development, this taught us a lot about how we can elevate ourselves under some pretty difficult situations. And he's referencing the launch of the PS3, because it was a launch title, and the cell processor, and having to adapt from a PS2 to the PS3 and its complex thing, and get ready for launch, because it was a launch franchise game. And I just wanted to get that in there because, again, I've been beating the drum time and time again saying, my word, give me a Resistance trilogy remake, give me a Resistance 4. And they're completely right. The story does wrap things up pretty well, but the origins of the Chimera and this kind of alternate history, think, what's the Amazon Prime show where the Nazis won the war? Man in High Castle?
Oh,
I think.
Yeah.
It's got very big vibes of that, and it is basically, I've said before to you, everyone thinks the Russians are up to something north of the Iron Curtain, and it turns out they weren't. They were trying to prevent the Chimera from spreading across the planet. They fell, and then Europe was taken in a matter of days, and the UK, being an island, was one of the last few this side of the pond as a resistance. And you fight these creatures called basically like xenomorph type skeletal monsters from space, or we think they're from space, across 3 games. Great first person shooter, had really fun online multiplayer, had a PSP and a Vita spin off. And of course, Insomniac haven't really ever had a bad game. We broke down the history when we did Ted Price leaving story the other week, and they just bounced from Spyro to Ratchet and Clank to Resistance. I think their only outlier probably is Sunset Overdrive on the Xbox, but that was received, that's the best Xbox One game by a lot of people's opinions. And then they were bought by Sony, and then they're on the Spider-Man train. We're going to get Wolverine, we're going to get Venom, so they've not really missed a trick.
I think when in his interview he mentioned in terms of timing and market opportunity, my brain immediately went to Spider-Man. The opportunity to do Spider-Man came up, and it's like that is probably a thing that they couldn't pass up on, so probably Resistance 4 probably got shelved. Yeah,
well, they did do Sunset Overdrive before that, but that's when, again, they were independent. A lot of people think because of the close working Sony relationship with Spyro and then Ratchet, like they pretty much made exclusive PlayStation games for nearly their entirety, which is why when PlayStation acquired them, it was such an obvious choice. It was like, why wouldn't you? You've been dating for like 20 years. You might as well put a ring on it. And so Sunset Overdrive is the only real outlier. And that was received super well, and we probably would have got a sequel, but it did lay the foundations for what was Spider-Man. So he goes on in the interview to say, like, when Marvel approached us and we had great constructive conversations around it, and we were able to pitch them a game based on their beloved characters, and Marvel trusted them so much at that time to go and make it. And we obviously know how successful Spider-Man has gone on to be.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit. And he gets to retire peacefully, but he does go on to say, outside looking in now, or when he's left it come March, he would like to see a Resistance game in the future. And he said Sony owns the IP, whether it's Insomniac or not, the door is always open. And this is one of them where I think the great thing about being a fan of video games, Richie, is it always comes full circle. And whether it's going to happen in the imminent future or if it's for its 30th anniversary on the PS6 or something, you will see it back again at some point, because creativity is dry.
I'm going to stick my tinfoil hat on for a brief moment here, because an executive like this leaving his job, he going to do interviews about him leaving. He's been vetted. He's been told you can't talk about this, you can't talk about that. Resistance 4 has been on his approved to talk about list. Do you think this is go out there? If people ask, you can drop your anecdote about Resistance 4 being canned, probably because of Spider-Man. You can't say it specifically because of Spider-Man. See how people react.
Quite possibly. I mean,
because they might be looking at, because again, it sounds like they had a kind of the plot, the workings of a plot there.
Yeah, the team
they
had
an
ideas,
idea for the game. That's on a shelf. Is it time to get it off the shelf start thinking about it. How do we start working on this?
Yeah.
Obviously, I know Insomniac have a lot going on at the moment. So they've got the sequel to Spider-Man, they've got Wolverine,
Venom.
they've got other stuff. Venom, you got
X-Men
Venom
is after Wolverine, apparently.
Yeah, X-Men, and that's assuming that they don't go revisit things like Ratchet.
Probably another Ratchet game somewhere. That's definitely a smaller one. He does talk in the interview about actually the point when they got to the PS3, they grew the team to a point where they could pivot and do 2 games to allow the team to flex their creative muscles on different things. So when they had Resistance going, they still had Ratchet games going at the same time. And they've had this cadence, and we've seen it on the PS5 era. They got out a launch game in Miles Morales, and then they got a Ratchet game the following year, and then they did a Spider-Man game, and then they've got a Wolverine game coming up. So like they've really, really put out the titles for PlayStation. They're the absolute workhorse studio over there. And meanwhile, we've had nothing from Naughty Dog.
I feel like because they upscaled their studio to basically a 2-game studio back in like probably late PS2 era, their management team is probably comfortable with managing that. Yeah. Where I think sometimes get the studios where are really focused on one game start trying to focus on 2 games. It feels like sometimes they're looking a bit threadbare, a bit thin on the ground. Things start getting a bit messy. Yeah. I wonder if Insomniac got lucky at the time when they did that. Games were simpler.
Yeah, they were.
So that it was easier to learn, make the mistakes.
Undoubtedly, but you know what? It's on my bucket list. Hopefully, one day we'll get to it. I hate to see these games stranded.
It's not this day.
It's not this day. Speaking of though, things that do get there, maybe we'll get its Deliverance some point soon, Richie. Some point soon.
Oh.
But speaking of Deliverance, next up we had the launch this week of probably arguably the biggest game of the year so far, I would say, in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, dropped on all platforms, and it currently sits with a Metacritic score of 88 from critics, which is generally favourable, and a user score of 8.6, so overall the highest rated reviewed game of the year so far. Reading from a couple of earlier reviews here, we've got Destructoid, give it a 95 out of 100, saying this year just started, so it's too early to talk about Game of the Year, but for me, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is already at least a contender. Not a bad start, Richie, for Kingdom Come Deliverance. Reading from Dextero, they say, it's obvious a lot of love has been poured into every facet of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. If you found combat in the first game too difficult or the survival mechanics tedious, then the sequel's streamlined gameplay might not be enough to change your mind. However, if you were a fan of the first game, there's so much to enjoy here. It's clear that the game Warhorse wanted to make, that's the devs, back in 2018, has been improved in so many small ways. Bigger and better, it's a must play. Aside from its clunkiness and the odd tedious mission, it's hard to find another game that so expertly combines realism and fun with tough, satisfying combat. And we should point out the first game was a Kickstarter that did very, very well for itself, sold a good 2 million copies, and then they've got obviously bigger funding for a sequel, and this is kind of it's almost like where they wanted to do but didn't have the true budget first time round. So
interestingly, I found a Games Radar article. Apparently, Andrew Wilson, CEO of EA, he was talking about how. I'll just read the title of the Games Radar article. Days after EA CEO suggests players crave live service guff, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 boss says their single player RPG made all of its money back in one day.
Perfect.
Yeah, everyone wants games as a service. WB like everyone loves games as a service, but no one's buying it. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Yep, we sold everything. There it is. We sold out, guys.
And it works. BGC give it 100, 10 out of 10. And they say if you, I would urge players to at least finish the first map of the game. If you get to this point and still find yourself keen to play, I'm happy to say the game truly blossoms in its second half. The best quests, narrow moments, funniest moments, and best characters can be found here. There's one Polish guy who I guarantee will steal the hearts of thousands. Please hang out. That's an odd review rate, right, from VGC. Game Rant, give it 100 as well. For those who appreciate RPGs that lean into the simulation rather than spectacle, Kingdom Come Deliverance is a standout experience, one that is approached with patience and eagerness to embrace its historical authenticity and realism. It may not cater to every type of player, but for those willing to engage with the systems, it delivers one of the most satisfying and immersive role-playing experiences in recent memory. With its stunning visuals, refined gameplay, and gripping continuation of Henry's journey from the first game, it cements itself as one of the most compelling RPGs of the year, regardless of what may come after it. So just overall, again, it doesn't seem like the type of game for me because of that simulation element. That's one of the reasons I never quite got into the Chivalry 2, the first person kind of hand mechanics of it. This is obviously a lot deeper of an RPG with that realism of like you can get killed pretty quick and you lose your loot kind of setup. But you know what? Looking from the outside in, great to see.
It's one of these probably absolutely amazing games that isn't for everyone. But there again, not every game needs to be for everyone. When you make a game for everyone, this is the problem I think Ubisoft sometimes have. It feels a bit safe. Where it feels bloated, it feels a bit safe. You're not really pushing the boundaries and what the game can do. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 seems like what it's done is it's focused on what that game should be. What is the best version of this game? Let's make that, and people flock to it. Baldur's Gate 3 sold. Game of the Year. It was an amazing experience. They went focused on making that a game that every single person who picks up a controller would play. Mm-hmm. They focused on making the game that they had a vision for the game and they executed it to the best of their ability. And you got a Game of the Year contender. Yeah. Kingdom Come Deliverance seems like different style of game, different style of RPG, but feels like going, you know what, we're going to do the thing that we want to do it the best we can. And and it's almost all hundreds out of 190s across the board.
Yeah, it seems like it's this year's front runner for, like last year was Dragon's Dogma. Yeah, where it just came out of nowhere, AA studio, and everyone was like, "Shit, this game's great!" Like 9s and 10s and stuff. And you love to see it. Again, games don't have to be, as you said, like that big mainstream one you see. I think they already posted an article a day or two ago saying they'd already sold like 2 million copies or something.
As I said, they made their money back in a single day.
Perfect.
That's profit from here on out. That's it. That's the next game. Basically, is funded. Mm-hmm. Go make it, please.
Come Deliverance.
I might not play it, but I like it being there. I like diversity in games. Not every game should be the same. Different games should play differently. Mm-hmm. And it feels like as technology has advanced, we've seen like genres merge into each other. Mm-hmm. So every game is now an open world action RPG.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what my issue with Dragon Age Veilguard was. It's not a bad game, but to me, it's not what made Dragon Age great.
Yeah.
If you look at especially Dragon Age 1, that was closer to a Baldur's Gate than an Assassin's Creed. Mm-hmm. It's just one of them things where I like to see big developers, bring out big games that are unique in how they play and how they experience. Because gaming is a medium that can do that more so than any other medium because it's interactive.
Yeah.
So focus on utilizing the interactive qualities of the game.
Completely agree. So shout out to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And speaking of interactive mediums, Richie, our next star of the week comes from an interactive medium of a online storefront. Metal Gear Solid Delta, which we knew was coming sometime. It's had a placeholder, was the 31st of December 2024 for a long, long time. And then the year came and the year passed and we never saw anything. But thanks to a PlayStation Store pre-order release, wishlist release, it looks like we're getting Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater coming on the 28th of August 2025. It happened, Richie, it happened. Konami's classic stealth action game was shown on a pre-order page to wishlist, and the date was there in the details. Whoever checks this thing didn't notice it, but yeah, there's a trailer that comes with it, on the storefront where it lets you play a trailer with a couple of screenshots. That was there. You can also view that on the PS Store via console. Of course, this was revealed originally back in 2023. Everyone thought it was coming out last year. It looks like it's now going to be coming this summer. Surprised by late August? Like, it's practically September, which I thought we would have really saw at the front end of this year, not the back end. But I guess with a game this old and this revered, now we know it's real. There's no real rush, is there? Like, people are going to buy it regardless. I'd rather it was perfected and polished than we get it a few months early.
They had said 2024, but they never said anything other, so maybe that was an early window, and as now they've just let that go out of people's minds.
Yeah, I think that's it. They never actually addressed the fact that they didn't put a date on it outside of the year.
Yeah.
And then as we crept closer to Christmas, I remember we were going like, it might be at the Game Awards, it might be at here, and then it wasn't, and then it wasn't, and then the new year came and went, and here we are.
Honestly, if I'm Konami now, I'm getting a trailer together for this. A release date trailer.
Rumored state of play coming either next week or next week. This probably was a leak that's happened that was lined up. It's a PlayStation leak.
Maybe, if it's at state of play, it goes, it's state of play, we're going to do give you the date, and this is meant to be, this whole page is meant to be on the back end, ready to push during state of play.
Yeah.
You can wishlist it now, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and they've gone early.
And the fact that someone's hit the button to go live with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But it's one of my top picks for the year ahead. I think I've got a lot of love for Metal Gear Solid Snake. I think it's the only one I've truly completed myself. Like I've finished the other ones, but this is the one I've got like a passion for. We have to do a stream of that or something. Like relive our Metal Gear 2 playthrough, one sitting.
We'll get some pizza, we'll get some Fanta, and we'll sit on the floor in Rob's bedroom.
Yeah. Yeah, one sitting.
We'll just play the entire game. Sorry, Rob, we're coming round.
No sleep.
Yeah.
So more news on that. Nice little update there. We also had a Capcom Spotlight this week, and I was hoping we would see more from it. It was a Capcom Spotlight / Monster Hunter Wilds kind of gameplay look. The Monster Hunter stuff is the Monster Hunter stuff, but we did get a nice little stealth drop of a reveal for Onimusha 2 Samurai Destiny, remaster of the PS2 classic coming later this year. Of course, we know about the next Onimusha franchise, Warlords, which has been in the works for some time. That was the last release. The new mainline game, which is Onimusha Way of the Sword, was part of that phenomenal Game Awards list. I think it was about the midway point, when we got Okami... Yeah. Onimusha. I feel like there was a third one, but I can't remember off the top of my head. We've now got this one. This was the only real news to come out of the whole Capcom showcase. I'm so disappointed we didn't get any more. They basically, Richie, re-showed the trailers from the Game Awards. Just the exact same trailer. And then the Onimusha
I never watched it, and that's disappointing. Why even bother?
Yeah, you do wonder, don't you? Like, what else have Capcom got? They could have done, if it's in the works... Dino Crisis, Resident Evil 9, some people were wondering, RE Remake, because there's a lot of rumours around Remake or Code Veronica or Zero. And no, we just got the same trailers of other things.
Remake Evil.
Yeah. I have no points of reference for Onimusha. I know it's a beloved franchise, an action-adventure game.
I'm familiar with the name, but I don't know why.
Well, the thing with a lot of these Japanese ones is they always try and associate it with something else. During the Capcom Spotlight, they tried to associate Onimusha with what's that princess? Not princess. The Japanese style game that's coming out. It's like some Path of the Goddess. Is it? It's got like a Japanese name Path of the Goddess.
Knitsugami Path of the Goddess.
That's the one. Yeah. So
don't know how I remember that, but I did.
During the Onimusha footage, they kind of segued saying to like, and Path of the Goddess is out later this year as well. Like trying to make them like a thing, like they're tied together. It's like no, they're just two franchises that are from Capcom. So there's like weird marketing beats at the same time, but yeah, the Spotlight was shit. It was an utter disappointment. It wasn't anything new outside of the Onimusha 2 reveal. And then obviously Monster Hunter Wilds was there for Monster Hunter fans, which is imminent, right? That's March. So the year,
possibly, yeah.
The year's really starting to ramp up, And speaking of ramping up, we covered it here on the channel a couple of weeks back now. It is official. Age of Empires 2 and Age of Mythology Retold are coming to PlayStation 5. I feel like we covered this weeks ago, and no one else did. There's very little articles out there. But we knew about it because there was test footage and people were beta testing. There was screenshots on Reddit. But for some reason, the journalists in and amongst all, I think, the Game Awards hype and stuff over the new year just kind of missed it. But yeah, everyone was buzzing about the Forza port. And we're there saying, like, well, actually, there's another game coming. Yeah. So revealed less than a week after Forza 5 was first announced, 2 strategy titles bringing high-quality battles to Sony's current PlayStation system. Reading from the blog post, playing across all platforms is a game changer for our franchise. It's all about bringing our community together. This isn't just about convenience, it's about growing and strengthening the aged community now. Crossplay will let you join with current Xbox and PC users. So crossplay, just like Forza, looks like it's coming as well. Of course, Age of Mythology Retold is a remaster of the 2002 classic original from Ensemble Studios, and it was released late last year to positive reviews. The PS5 version is going to include a full up-to-date, all the DLC, including the Immortal Pillars. It's going to be coming in at £22.50. And
actually.
No, not at all. An Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition is the original game remaster from 1999. Comes with all included new features, enhanced graphics, up to 4K resolution, as well as all the previous DLC. That's going to arrive in spring, as with apparently every other Xbox game is going to be coming this spring. Also with crossplay support. And that's a bit of an odd one because we actually said Age of Empires 2 was on the PS2 originally back in 1999, 2000.
And it shouldn't have been. So
2000.
I'm a purist when it comes to like strategy games like Age of Empires. They should be mouse and keyboard. Not even keyboard. These are mouse games.
Well, the PS2 had mouse compatibility, right?
Yeah, but did anyone have it?
No one could ever find that damn mouse.
Exactly. So now, modern days, I think developers are much better at kind of finding controller schemes using modern controllers that kind of work for real-time strategy games on consoles.
Yeah.
And to be fair, this is kind of an old man shout to the cloud. If you're interested in playing this game, get it on PC. Buy yourself a laptop, get it, do it. But if kids can play Call of Duty on a touchscreen phone, you can have a decent time with an actual professional making a game on them. Well, so you can have a decent time playing this on console.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same. I'm a purist when it comes to I love the thought of playing these on my console, but I know they're infinitely better with mouse and keyboard. So RTS games in general,
bring back the PlayStation mouse.
Bring it back. But yeah, just for the sake of it, listen to these.
Maybe it's coming to Switch. Maybe. You just need to edit in like the soundtrack behind the entire podcast for this section
in there.
Yeah, because there's some bangers in there, and that soundtrack in the Age of Empires 2 soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. You could listen to it on chill while you're making a coffee. Oh.
Monk, I need a monk.
Apparently that's the Simpsons one, not the.
Whoa.
Oh, so many good memories. But yeah, coming soon. So spring. Tell you what, Xbox are going to have one hell of a spring. They're going to drop Indiana Jones, Forza, Age of Empires and Mythology onto this. Meanwhile, on Xbox, they're dropping South of Midnight, Avowed, and I'm sure there's a third one I'm forgetting, Expedition 33. Heading into Doom come like late spring, early summer. They're essentially firing at all fronts, and meanwhile, PlayStation have what out? Nothing? Like
Age of Empires?
I mean, third-party wise, we've got Assassin's Creed Shadows in March, but Doom's not till June. But again, that's all Xbox. So this is why a state of play has
Starfield. To be... They might have Starfield.
Yeah, like what can you list?
I'm just naming Xbox games.
But there's got to be a state of play coming, right? They traditionally do one in mid-February, early March, so the cadence is there for one. And I think outside of Ghosts of Yotai coming this year, we know nothing. So let's get on. Obviously, we know about Intergalactic, Naughty Dogs, but that's not coming for a while. Like, I would love to just be surprised with something like just something new or old, remastered. Like, give me an Uncharted remake. Give me a new, like, just something to get excited about. But meanwhile, Microsoft will hold down the fort on all platforms, it seems to be. Speaking of, though, let's get into some Game Pass news. The blog post from Xbox Game Studios arrived this week, basically breaking down February ahead. Here's a full list of games coming to Xbox in February. We are getting Far Cry New Dawn, which is actually available now. Go check that out. Another Crab's Treasure coming 5th of February, also out now. Uden Chronicles 100 Heroes is also out now. Starfield is coming to the standard edition of Game Pass. Remember, they've got that kind of threadbare list of games for the basic entry.
Yeah. And
then as you move up to Ultimate and PC, you get more. So Starfield's moving over to the
core, standard, and Ultimate.
Yeah, we're getting across the standard now. Madden NFL 25 coming 6th of February. Kingdom 2 Crowns on the 13th of February. And then finally, the big one for the month is Avowed on the 18th of February. So I throw it back to you, Richie, who said you're about to start Indiana Jones. Avowed comes out in 10 days' time. you're the avowed guy out of the two of us. Where are you sitting? Where are you sitting now? Because it's getting close.
I'm sticking with Indiana Jones because I don't need to play Avowed day and date. But Avowed could be after Indiana Jones.
Right. Can we look? Because I'm curious about Avowed, but I don't know if I'm the right guy to be on the sticks. Maybe sideline our first look for that week, launch week, for the Thursday or Friday.
February? We'll do it.
I don't know what date it is, but whatever the nearest is.
Yeah, of course.
It comes down to Tuesday, so it would be like
comes out on the Tuesday. We could just do on the 20th. We'll do an Avowed stream.
Yeah, sounds good.
That might change my mind then.
But that's how I want to see.
That'd be good for me, actually. Yeah, so I'll be on the sticks for that one.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So we'll take a break from Last of Us for that week.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, our cadence is we do it every other week anyway, so it might line up perfectly well. Moving on, though, we've got some unfortunate news that Football Manager 25, which suffered a delay just a few short weeks back, Sega and Sports Interactive have now scrapped it entirely, and they're going to refocus on getting ready for the next series' release. The announcement came this morning as part of Sega's latest financial results, and it's a surprise considering the annual sports franchise hasn't been annual this year, and it follows the repeated delays that have happened, and it's been billed as the biggest leap forward of the series in a generation. 2 setbacks. So I guess the next one's going to be Football Manager 26, Richie? And I think we mentioned this when it got its previous 2 delays. Like, you've kind of missed the season now, right? Now we're heading into March.
So they have actually said, as it stands, there will be no update to FM24, which is the most recent one with fresh play data. That, to me, is a mistake. I think once it got delayed into this year, they should have went, focus our efforts on the game we're working on now, to 2026, and then we've got basically another year to get the game up to speed, and we'll patch FM24 with the update the database for the current season.
Yeah.
So that would be a nicer way to handle it, I think. So if you are big FM fans, like, I can play this season in just the old engine while they're working on the next game.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you've played much more Football Manager than I ever have. It's a shame they can't take it away and just do, like, I feel like Football Manager as a platform with just a roster pass every year would be perfect for everyone involved. Clearly, they can't keep up with the cadence of getting one out annually. They screw over themselves with the licensing deals that pulls the game from storefronts every other year.
I think saying they can't keep up with the cadence is a bit harsh because this is they're changing engines, they're upgrading a lot of the mechanics. It's a big step up in 1 year.
But you've missed a season of a sport, which is
why I think this is all in hindsight. Again, this is all in hindsight, and they should have went, you know what, this is going to be a big step up. Is the timeline of basically a year to get this done enough? Make the decision. Don't never even announce Football Manager 25. Announce that you continue in 24 into the 24-25 season, and the next main entry will be 26, which is basically what I suggested. But it's one of them things. In hindsight, I bet Sega wish they could have made that decision. Sports Interactive could have made that decision.
Yeah,
but it's too late. It's too late. Unfortunately, they just have to take the hit on it. And if FM26 is good, then they'll be forgotten about anyway.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, but it's one that's I think for the best. It's again if they're making those big generation leaps. Like sometimes, like I would be quite happy for EA Sports FC FIFA to take a year out because they currently just ping pong back and forth between it's an offense, it's a defense, it's an offense, and we do no changes to career mode at all.
Then it feels like they're just moving sliders around. The game doesn't significantly improve. Career mode is getting worse and worse pretty much every season. I've stopped buying it, to be honest. I've moved on. Like
it's one of them baffling things that I still can't believe when we get to several seasons. I know most people play for like FUT now and online, and there's a couple of people at work when I've tried to chat to them about I play FIFA, and then they're like they go like, oh yeah, like this and that FU, and I'm like, no, I just do career campaign, and that's pretty much my boots filled. They're like, oh, so you don't really play FIFA, and I'm like, kind kind of do.
No, I've played FIFA since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I just don't play the bullshit stuff that they've had in the games as a servicey stuff.
Yeah.
I play career mode. Occasionally, I might dabble of an online game, but I actually think FIFA's online offering's terrible. Remember when we tried to get a game going online?
Yeah.
But you can't just create a lobby and have people in. You have to mess on with things like seasons and stuff. It's like no one wants that crap. Well, people do. Clearly, people do.
But just not us.
Yeah, if you just want to get a game going without, even if we were doing this as a stream, if we want to do this with just our friends, you can't just go kick off, add all your friends in, they pick a side.
Yeah.
It was kind of crap.
Yeah, so, it's a bit of a shame. But FC, hopefully for the better. We'll see them put out FM 26 some point next year. Hopefully before, this year, hopefully before the season starts. That would be perfect timing. Get out in August.
Yeah, I don't think that will happen. Same reasons EA don't get EAFC out. But
we shall
take your time, do it right.
Do it right.
Not too much time because you don't want to miss another season. That could be dangerous for them. But
yeah, absolutely. It's always shocks me that Sega do a sports game. Like, there just doesn't seem like a Japanese studio doing a football game that's more European centric. But
Sega are weird.
Sega do everything. Tell you who else are weird. Sumo Digital, and they're quite often interesting IPs that they pick up and take on. Their last entry was the PlayStation 5 launch title, Run Sackboy Run, of course, made off the back of the Media Molecules PlayStation first-party studios. And you know what? A great little game. If you're out there and you enjoyed Astrobot recently and you think, I maybe want something that's a little bit more platformy but without all the gimmicky PlayStation nostalgia, look no further than Sackboy A Big Adventure. Did I say Run Sackboy Run, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
It wasn't Run Sackboy Run. Run Sackboy Run is the PlayStation Vita game, I think, off the top of my head.
I feel like it would be like a PlayStation Move thing.
Like a mobile game as well. Yeah, I'm thinking of something completely different. It's Sackboy A Big Adventure, which is, again, the naming convention. I think that's where they tried to get away from it by calling it Sackboy rather than Little Big Planet. Like making it its own thing.
Yeah.
But I do digress. The reason being is Sumo Digital, the UK developer behind the PS5 launch title, have announced that they've cancelled the new IP as they switch work to focus entirely on game production for external partners. So the Little Big Planet spin-off was just a one-off. It seems like the studio was working and focusing its core strength and foundation on their future success. It's decided to double down those efforts instead of creating its own original experiences, which it's a bit of a shame. Again, they tried something different, but I really think just the crown's been handed over to Astrobot now. And I think Sackboy, he was the PS3 mascot, or one of many PS3 mascots. He's much beloved still. He's a cute little fucker, that little boy. But
he was everywhere?
He was everywhere.
At one point.
Again,
he's nowhere.
It's kind of similar to Astrobot. I mean, let's face it, he's pretty much just Astrobot. He's the same shape, he's the same size, he's like a little miniature cute thing. But the PlayStation 5 is more like future sci-fi, whereas Sackboy is like it's your granny knitted it, and he's still cute as anything. But again, that like just generic base model that you could just apply all kinds of skins and IP to. It's the dream. Like, how many people bought like £1.29 Sackboy packs because you wanted to look like Nathan Drake, or you wanted to look like Kratos or Crash Bandicoot, and they just kind of doubled down on Astrobot and did that instead. But yeah, Sackboy: A Big Adventure is essentially at its foundation the exact same game as Astrobot. It's just not got laser feet and futuristic things. It's got cute things made of wool and cardboard and paper instead.
Which is giving me the crazy idea. If Sumo Digital now focus on being a partner studio, what if they're being a partner studio for Team Asobi, and Team Asobi making a Sackboy game?
Whoa, plot twist.
So Team Asobi just bouncing between Astrobot and Sackboy.
Yeah.
Get them both going.
Yeah.
With Sumo Digital like supporting.
Do you ever check out Sackboy's Big Adventure?
No, I wasn't interested.
It's got good co-op actually as well.
I mean, what got me interested in Astrobot was one, it was all like hitting so hard in the PlayStation nostalgia, and then it was basically a Game of the Year candidate. So I was like, oh yeah, it takes a lot for me to get interested in a platformer.
Yeah,
it's not like I dislike them. They're just not what I tend to gravitate towards.
Yeah. So
obviously something like Astrobot, which is a generational game, is that good? Definitely, I want to play that.
Yeah,
I'm on Switch too. I'm very interested in a 3D Mario game. But yeah,
we'll see. So Sumo Digital, it's a shame that another IP doesn't get to come to life. But again, I think by the looks of this, between layoffs and impact on the studio, they're clearly happy to just take the cash right now and help as support. So, yeah. See where they end up. They've got close partnerships with PlayStation, and I don't think Sackboy was that poorly received that Sony wouldn't work with them again on another IP. So,
yeah, it feels like the IP could regain its mascot title status.
Indeed.
If you get a good game out.
Indeed. Speaking of regaining its title, though, Richie, we got some news this week from EA's fiscal year financial reports, and it's reported that the before March 2026, EA is going to have a new Battlefield out, which means it's going to launch some point between now and next March. It's been a while. Battlefield 2042 came out a couple of years back now, and EA also unveiled Battlefield Labs, which is going to be a new initiative allowing player-driven testing and innovation ahead of the franchise's next release. Don't really have much more on this. It's going to be a combination between multiple EA studios. I think DICE usually get involved. They're the kind of the main ones. They last worked on the Dead Space remake, and Star Wars Squadrons was done by Motive, who are also working on the Iron Man game. There's a studio called Ripple Effect. They were known as DICE LA. They worked on Need for Speed along with Criterion, which is the UK-based one. And EA is a little bit like Ubisoft in this regard, that they have so many studios all across the globe that'll just kind of chip in with their own different levels of expertise. I think Star Wars Battlefront 2 was made by 4 teams, all just chipping in. But apparently the collective Battlefield studio teams are now entering a critical phase of the development cycle and want players' feedback on what to prioritize, improve, and refine before release. To that end, Battlefield Labs will be used by EA to test almost everything out, and players will not. Leading to the complete version. Participants will have to agree to an NDA before getting in. Pre-alpha is going to start soon, and obviously we'll hear more about that in the coming future. Where do we think with Battlefield, Richie? What do they need to do to get back on track? Call of Duty smashed out of the park last year. I think there's space for both of them. I think if EA is smart, just don't go head to head with Call of Duty. Yeah. Come out in May when it's quiet for shooters. Yeah.
That's the thing. Don't go head to head with Call of Duty. You're not in a strong position, and it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. It's like a championship team going up against Bayern Munich. It doesn't. You might be good in your division, but you're not operating on the same level.
Yeah, absolutely.
You might have aspirations to be there, but you're not there.
Same sport, but golfing class.
Don't try and do everything you can to be your own unique title and not a Call of Duty clone.
Yeah,
you need to feel different. You need to play different. Because to be honest, as well as Call of Duty plays, I feel it's gotten a little stale mechanically. I feel like all Call of Duty since Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, largely play exactly the same in terms of their core mechanics.
Yeah.
So do something a bit more adventurous with it. Try and redefine what it is. I think they are going to double down on games as a service. I don't think this is going to have single player. Ooh. Just based on what EA have been saying.
Yeah, but wasn't that their biggest mistake with 2042? That as soon as they didn't have a campaign, a lot of people.
I don't know if that's how they see it though. I'm not sure that's how EA see it. I think they probably just see it as a bad game.
Well, that was the problem though, wasn't it? Is that as long as Warzone exists for Call of Duty, why would you pay £70 for a Battlefield game that didn't do anything that you couldn't get for free with Warzone?
If your plan is to make this as a games as a service, keep the entry price down to get people in. It doesn't have to be free, but keep it down. Don't charge 70, 80 quid for it.
What was their...
charge 40 quid so people are more inclined to take a risk.
What was their Battle Royale game that they had in Battlefield 2042? Was it like Fire Trap or Firewall or Firewatch? It was like they missed launch, so the Battle Royale wasn't there for launch, and it came out a few months later, and it was like, it's good, but you've missed the hype window now. Battlefield 1 was the last great Battlefield game for me.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I actually think I would ditch the campaign. Because I feel like Call of Duty's kind of stuck with it because it's stuck with it.
Yeah.
Where I think Battlefield has the opportunity to go, you know what? We know what this game is. This game is an online multiplayer experience. It's a premium thing, so we're going to charge you in to get in. It's 40 quid, but this is going to be the best first-person shooter online experience you can have objectively. That's what they need to get to. And as we mentioned, we played Call of Duty end of last year, and there's people running around with flaming heads and ridiculous skins and all sorts of stuff. Get rid of that crap. Distinguishing yourself as a serious shooter.
Yeah, they've definitely got some decisions to make, but it's been a while. Again, the cadence in which EA put the games out isn't an annual one, so they do get time to reassess, look back, take stock of what they're making and see how they want to approach this. But in the past, it has been one of their big key pillars, and I think EA now, they make so much money from the sports titles. It's like, is Battlefield even a priority for them anymore? Like, if they just gave up that space to Call of Duty?
I think you can reclaim some of it.
I think they can as well. I think there's room for more, especially, again, if they don't go toe-to-toe. Don't come out in October. Come out earlier in the year, and we'll see. Speaking of hopefully coming out early in the year, Richie, one of our final 2 stories of the week is Nintendo Switch sales have slumped below expectations. This comes from the financial report, because it's this time of year we pretty much base our news off financial earnings reports and shareholder meetings. They've reported a huge drop in sales of its hardware and software, with the Switch 1 console sales down 30.6% year on year for the 9 months ending 31st of December. Switch 1, now it's officially known, now we have the 2 coming. Sales also fell significantly for software, down 24.4%. In a statement, Nintendo blamed the scale of the drop on tough comparisons with the prior year and the launch of both Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Sales of the aging Switch 1 have been falling for years. Meanwhile, but Nintendo's latest results are worse than the company's previous forecast. Alongside the impact of the poor US dollar exchange rate, Switch 1's performance has now forced Nintendo to lower its expectations again for the remainder of the financial year. The company is now forecasting its net sales up to the 31st of March, 6.16 billion, down 7%, and its net profit down 10% to 1.39 million. It's not all gloom and doom, Richie, because Nintendo's new releases of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom sold nearly 4 million copies, a good number considering it wasn't a main entry. And Nintendo's Super Mario Jamboree sold an impressive 6.17 million. Damn, the attachment rate on Nintendo Mario games is obscene.
Yeah, it is ridiculous.
And of course, the unstoppable Mario Kart 8 Deluxe continues to sell well. And
Who?
I don't know.
Who are these 5.4 million people who bought Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in 2024?
Yeah, it shifted another 5.3 million copies in last year alone, and its sales now stand at a whopping 67.35 million.
Fucking hell.
That's insane, isn't it? Switch 1 now stands at 150.86 million consoles sold to date, just shy of Nintendo's DS lifetime of 154. And Nintendo might squeak past the DS sales, but it's still on the hunt for PlayStation 2's record of 160 million. Of course,
it's not that.
If you remember, PlayStation updated their sales figures for the PS2 about 4 months ago, because everyone had the PS2 marked at 155. And conveniently, Sony now came out as Nintendo creep close to them going, we've, down the back of the couch, actually found another 5 million sales for the PS2.
You know what? There might be some countries like
Brazil and stuff, South America. It's huge.
That are still just buying consoles. So they might have small-scale production in some countries of the PS2.
Absolutely. You know what? It's one of them weird things. I reckon if Sony came out today and announced a functioning PlayStation 2 for sub £100 as like a retro... It doesn't need to be a mini console, just a genuine one that was still a DVD player. Maybe a Blu-ray player, squeeze that in just to appease people.
I was going to say, I'd step up and make it PS3, fully backwards compatible.
PS3 with that architecture, though. Like, they got the Slim so unique and defined.
But they can make a PS3 backwards compatible all the way back to PS1.
But that's
if you're
where
going to buy
a
second Sony console, you got a PS5 Pro. Let's say you got PS5 Pro connected to your TV, and you want to be able to play the entire library on disc. It's the PS3 backwards compatible you need.
All right, what about 150 then for a backwards compatible PS3, Richie? How does that sound?
If I had the money, I would have pulled the trigger.
But you know what I mean? Like, if PlayStation came out with a brand new PS2, PS3 inbox for like 100, 150, and like all the old discs just happened to work, and it was like a fully offline game, no online shit, just offline single player games only, it would rejuvenate the second-hand market, and loads of people would buy it. Especially if it came with like anniversary style packaging. Yeah. It'd be such a collector's piece to have, like a 2025 limited edition PS2 or PS1. Yeah. that works.
That'd be cool, like anniversary of the PS3 or something to do that.
That would be sick. And I could go back and play Infamous and Resistance without having to worry about my 15-year-old console breaking. But either way, as it hunts it down, we also hunt down the end of this week's show, Richie, and we like to end every show with looking back at this day in video game history. We're recording on February the 7th. Anything stand out for you?
Not particularly, actually. It's a quiet day.
It is a quiet day. Command and Conquer the first decade.
Oh, actually,
I remember owning that.
Hogwarts Legacy 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
I almost missed that.
Right at the bottom. PS5.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sound. That was a good one. Jack and Daxter collection. Yeah, a couple of collections. I guess it's the time of year when you bring out collections, just because, yeah. Mario Party on the original N64 came out February 8th, 26 years ago in 1999.
Damn.
It's, 26 years since it. And again, Jamboree clearly selling well. What have we got? Conflict Denied Ops on the PC. Never played that one, but I did and really enjoy the Conflict series. 1 year ago, on February the 8th, Helldivers 2, baby. 1 year old already. Yeah, nearly, yeah. Because if you think about it, we got Helldivers. That must mean Palworld was maybe last week or the week before. Helldivers a year old already. That's insane. That's why there's some major orders coming this weekend, because it's a year to the day. Gonna go spread democracy again. James Bond 007, 27 years ago on the original Game Boy, 1998. I have that game.
BioShock 2, 15 years ago.
BioShock in February. Wow. Gravity Rush on the PlayStation Vita 13 years ago. We're getting there. But Firewatch 9 years ago. Damn. But overall, nothing phenomenal at the start of the year, but good games nonetheless. Right, Richie, that brings us to an end for this week's show. That has been episode number 78 of the GamerGuild Podcast. We're getting close to that 100 mark now. It'll come sometime in the summer. Episode 449 in total on this channel. As of course, we thank you all for your support for tuning in this week. Don't forget to go check out the live streams, the ClickerCast streams, our first looks, and everything else. Follow us on social media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell to keep in the loop, of course. Check us out in our Discord if you want to keep in the loop with all of the wonderful gamers out there who talk every week in our community and share things, share links, articles, talk video games, talk life, and everything in between. My name's been Chris.
And I've been Richie.
We've been GamerGuildTV. And remember, folks, play whatever makes you the happiest. Have a great week. See you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.